We got the second episode of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and gotta say, I'm still waiting for the main story to start picking up. But we'll talk about all of that in today's video. As always, this is going to be a full spoiler discussion of episode 2 of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, so if you have not seen episode 2, save this video, come back later, and we will be talking all things spoilers for today's episode. So right out of the gate, the episode starts out with John Walker, and after last week's reaction and everybody's thoughts on John Walker as the new Captain America, well, this episode had a lot of work to do if they wanted to make him a better character. And it was really interesting to me that they started out this episode with a more sympathetic scene and sympathetic take on John Walker. It seems like he is legitimately nervous and trying to take up the mantle of Captain America and just trying to be the best person that he can be. Now, we do see later on in the episode that he becomes a little bit more of a prick, and we will see that continue on until the very end of the episode. But this beginning scene is really interesting to me because it does seem like they are setting up his character as one that is maybe a little bit more sympathetic. And we get to see that football scene that we've seen in all the trailers, and it was pretty cool. Honestly, I really didn't dislike this character in the first few scenes of this episode as much as I thought I would based on the end of last episode. Again, I think that it changes throughout this episode as he begins to antagonize Sam and Bucky, but at the beginning, I don't know, in that Good Morning America interview, I just kind of felt, yeah, this guy is just doing his best. He's trying to be Captain America. Okay, well, we'll give him a chance. From there, we transition on to Sam and Bucky and their reunion, and I do like, although at the end with the therapy scene, we'll talk about that in just a second, it may have gotten a little out of hand, but I do like the fact that their relationship is actually more antagonistic than I would have thought originally, just based on the trailers. I do really think that it's a good direction to go because these characters are sort of on opposite spectrums of their friendship with Steve Rogers, I think. Bucky has known him since childhood, but he's gone through so much and he's just ready to move on and lead a normal life, whereas Sam has the responsibility that Steve has placed on him to continue on the legacy and the mantle. So they're coming at it from two different perspectives, but I do really think it was a good idea to have Bucky be like, hey Sam, why did you give up the shield? Come on, you should not have done that. And that to be sort of the grudge, right? He takes it very seriously, whereas Sam believes that what he did was right. I think that that's a great angle to approach this from. Now, how long that's going to last, if it's going to last in episodes 3, 4, 5, I'm not entirely sure because they have a line where they say, look, we're just going to go our separate ways after this is all said and done. I doubt that, right? I seriously doubt that, but it's a matter of how long that it's going to take for the show to establish that and move on. So then we have this cool action scene in Munich, and I have to say I was pretty surprised because the trailers were all showing two big action set pieces, right? They were showing the one in the canyon, which turned out to be in episode 1, and they were showing one on the truck, which is in episode 2, which makes me wonder, what is episode 3, 4, 5, and 6? And this is not a bad thing at all. In fact, this is actually a very good thing. I would much rather be surprised in the later episodes. So good on you, Marvel, because I really was surprised that this action scene came so early in the show, and now basically all the major action that we've seen, other than maybe some stuff in Madripoor, is basically done. Now, what I was surprised about was the fact that John Walker and Battlestar was not expecting him to just say, hey, I'm Battlestar, because that was a little bit awkward, but okay, sure, comics, I get it. But I was not expecting John Walker and Battlestar to show up and sort of help the team, and they basically get beat up really quickly. I thought it was really interesting how, yes, Sam and Bucky sort of get beat up quickly. I love how Sam is taunting Bucky about how he got beat up by a little girl, but then it goes to John Walker, who's on the truck, and I like how that he doesn't have the shield. He basically just gets knocked off. He's done. And it shows, right? It shows this is not Steve Rogers. I mean, we had a similar scene in Avengers Age of Ultron where Steve was fighting Ultron on a truck, and that turned out a lot better for Steve. So, again, just showing how John Walker really does, if he wants to be Captain America, have really large shoes to fill, let's say. Going back to something I said at the beginning, right? I think that John Walker's scenes at the beginning were really trying to paint him as sympathetic, but then the show goes out of their way to really antagonize him and make him not such a great guy. The scene where he's talking with Battlestar, with Sam and Bucky, and he's like, hey, you're the wingman, right? And that was not a good thing to say, right? That's very much something that you shouldn't have said. And later on, obviously, at the end when he goes, then stay out of my way, and the evil music starts playing, I go, okay. So there's something going on here with John Walker. Now, do I think that he's going to be Zemo in disguise, or Thunderbolt Ross in disguise, or a Flag Smasher? I don't think so. I think he's very much going to be the Hayward sort of figure. The guy that we all hate and we love to hate and we go, this guy is terrible. But at the end of the day, he's just sort of a corrupt government guy or just a guy who was in the wrong place at the wrong time with the wrong morals, that kind of thing. I don't see him as somebody who's going to play a huge part in the ending, but I could be totally wrong. Maybe he and Battlestar are the big villains of the show. Who knows? So from there, Bucky takes Sam to meet Isaiah Bradley, and again, I love that this history is being painted of Isaiah Bradley being a super soldier during the Korean War, but he was sort of ostracized and experimented on, it sounds like. And this is, of course, setting up Elijah Bradley, his son, to be part of the story. People have been speculating him as Patriot. That is certainly a possibility. And I do like that there is this mythology surrounding the super soldier and Captain America. I think that was a good direction to go in for the show, to explore, like, hey, these Flag Smashers have the super soldier serum, and Bucky is a super soldier. No, Sam isn't, obviously, and I guess neither is John Walker, though that's not confirmed. And then you have Isaiah Bradley and his son Elijah Bradley into the mix, and I think it's just a really cool way to deal with this sort of idea of Captain America. Like, is he literally just a super soldier? Is he a person? Is he an ideal, a symbol? I think it's really clever of the show to go in that direction of exploring who is Captain America and who is worthy to take up that mantle. And then from there, Bucky gets arrested and has a really awkward therapy scene. Look, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't love the scene that much. It was okay, it was fine. It was just a little awkward. I really did like how Bucky just straight up said, look, why did you give up the shield? That's getting to the crux of the issue of Bucky's just really upset at Sam for giving up the shield. I get that. The rest of the scene didn't work. John Walker's there, he's being cringy and all that sort of stuff. I get it. I do get it, but again, it's just that scene in itself didn't feel that good. And also, before we close out the episode with the big ending, obviously the quote-unquote big ending, because I personally don't think it was that big of a reveal, but who knows. But anyways, the Flag Smashers are also hanging about, and we see that her name, the leader of the Flag Smashers, is Carly, and they make some sort of getaway. It's funny how in this age that they're smuggling vaccines because of what's going on in the world right now, but yeah, it's really interesting, and I'll get into this at the end of the video and my overall thoughts, but it's just hard for me to pinpoint what the story is of this show yet, but we'll get to that in just a second, because, speaking of story, at the end they say, okay, we need information on the Flag Smashers, we're not working with John Walker, he's saying, get out of my way, we're going to Zemo. That was interesting to me because that is not the reason that I expected them to be meeting up with Zemo at any point in the show. I thought Zemo was straight up going to be an antagonist who escaped during the blip or whatever, but he seems to be in jail still in Berlin. Nice shot that was reminiscent of Captain America Civil War in Berlin. And it seems like they're going to team up with him in a sense. And it's interesting because, like I've mentioned before, I did enjoy this episode, but I still feel like we're solidly in Act 1 of a 3-act film that's been cut up. And I'm still not entirely sure what the story is yet, because we have a lot of loose threads that have to be resolved. We have the rumored Thunderbolt Ross being a part of this with the Thunderbolts. We have the rumored Yelena Belova going to be in this somehow. Maybe. Just a rumor. We have John Walker and Battlestar. What are they up to? Not entirely sure what their ulterior motives are, other than just maybe being part of the government. We have Zemo, and then we have the Flag Smashers, and also Sam and Bucky having to deal with all of this stuff. So it's just, I'm not entirely clear what the big story is going to be. Obviously, the Flag Smashers are prominently not on the posters for the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. It's Zemo, and also Sharon Carter, which we haven't seen yet, so where is she? Who knows? But it's Zemo. So Zemo is somehow going to be on top of all of this, and it's just curious to me to see how everything's going to fit together. Again, it's not the show's fault, because if you took Act 1 of, let's say, a comparable movie to this show, Captain America Civil War, it would be pretty similar, right? A couple really cool action scenes, setting up some plot threads, but not a lot. It's a pretty slow start if you just took it on its own. And I think that that's what's going on here. So I expect that if we were to rewatch episodes 1 through 6 all together, it would feel very cohesive as a sort of long movie. As it stands, it still kind of feels like the beginning of something. But that might just be me. So what did you guys think of episode 2 of Falcon and the Winter Soldier? Let me know in the comments down below. If you like this video, check out some more on the screen right now. Make sure to subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.